Welcome back, friends. Well, I see why these videos on the anti-papacy of Bergoglio and the true sovereign pontiff of Benedict goes on and on, because there is a lot to say. All right, in this episode, I'm going to talk quite a bit about Anne Barnhart. Again, mea culpa, mea maxima culpa. We decided to call this individual who asked my opinion Pete, and I apologize for not having taken the time to read and study her position 2 years ago, but it is what it is. And so I thank you, Jorge, for shutting the church down, so I had the time this time. To Anne, I offer the points that struck me as confirming my conclusion that Benedict never ceased to be the sovereign pontiff and that Bergoglio is an anti-pope. I highly recommend do what I did not do. Watch her 5 hours of presentation. Don't listen to other so-called Catholic thought leaders. Form your own opinion. It's clear. It goes fast, unbelievably so. When she says that she's adept at giving presentation, she's right. She is. Don't make the mistake I did and wave them off and rely on so-called expert opinions. I'm going to just read this from her site. If you happen to have 7 hours free over the next few days, weeks, months, and this was at the beginning of the church shutdown, take a look at her links, and I put the links there in my show notes here. Part 1, January 2019, Bergoglio and anti-papacy. False premise. Jorge Mario Bergoglio is the Pope. I understood that I could either accept Jorge or accept 2,000 years of consistent tradition, but I could not accept both. I had experienced cognizant, because why? Because I experienced cognizant dissonance. Two things in opposition cannot be simultaneously held and be true. Canon law is meant to be accessible to all, not just to canon lawyers, theologians, and other assorted thought leaders. And here's a point that she made that I think is really worth considering. If I cannot understand the law, but I must rely on someone else to tell me what the law means, then I am vulnerable to being abused. Because they can say the law means whatever they want to. And my friends, that is what is going on. The foreword to the canon quoted at the beginning of this declaration many episodes ago says this clearly, that when I read the code, I'm about to read sections of it here worth listening to. When I read the code, I am struck by its clear language, and I weep. I mean, there was enough weeping over what the church has been up to for that. But the weeping is because we can understand what is being read to us. In Nehemiah 8:9, the Israelites wept when the law was read to them. Why did they weep? Because they understood it, and they rejoiced because they could understand the law. It wasn't something that only the high priest or the prophets and that sort of thing. They understood what the law was, and they had the opportunity to keep it. Benedict XVI's attempt. Here's the key point, and I'll unpack this as we go through. Benedict XVI attempted a partial resignation, and the fleshing out of this act is worth the 2 hours, 16 minutes, and 48 seconds. I think one of the fruits from this very dark period will be a more robust understanding of the papacy and a diminished need for the College of Cardinals. The cardinals, my friends, have only one job: electing the Pope. When the cardinals were caught having made a terrible error, obstinately refused to correct it. I know many are under abject fear. I know that. I know so many within the church are under abject fear from Bergoglio, and with good reason. And with good reason. But that fear does not excuse them. Those who do a mea culpa sooner rather than later, and I had to do one, it is possible, we can all do them. They have a hope of maintaining respect. But the ability of the episcopacy to police themselves is unlikely. They aren't going to do that. Our Lord will not be mocked. And I think at the end of the day, it's going to be between our Lord and those few faithful souls who will rise up. But like I said, the mountain of evidence is going down the hill now. Canon 188. Listen to this, my friends. Listen to this. A resignation of a pope made out of grave fear that is inflicted unjustly or out of malice, substantial error, or simony is invalid by the law itself. I noted the fear and malice abundantly present surrounding Benedict, and highlights an incredibly important quote showing the mindset of Benedict that the papacy is a forever decision for him. It is not the question if a pope can resign, which is yes. Why would the canon discuss wrong ways of doing something if there was not a right way? Out of the 2,000-year history, there have been 5 unambiguous renunciations, 4 disputed claims of resignations, and a 5th one involving an anti-pope resignation. Out of this very small number, none of those who resigned ever attempted to continue in their office or exercise their ministry. I committed the sin of Wikipedia. Easy enough to find this statement there. Consider Benedict XVI's own word. And this is what I mean. The mountain of evidence keeps coming in. There's excerpts coming out of Peter Seewald's biography, which I'm recording this May 2020. It's not, so the publishers put out little tidbits to get you interested, so you buy it when it's released. And it's not supposed to be released in November. Benedict is saying the same thing, that he is always and forever a pope. He hasn't gone, his papacy hasn't gone anywhere. In fact, he uses the interesting word of mandate. But back to what he said at his Declaratio, which is the reason I have a Declaratio. Here, allow me to go back once again to 19 April 2005. And I'm going to just read that. I'm going to highlight this in red. The real gravity of the decision was also due to the fact that from that moment on, I was engaged always and forever. Some call this always and forever, and this is the reason. By the Lord. The Petrine ministry no longer has any privacy. He always and completely, he belongs always and completely to everyone, to the whole church. The always is also a forever. There can be no longer a return to the private sphere. Well, that's not really true. Celestine resigned properly the papacy, which Benedict did not do, nor did he intend to do. And Celestine went back to the prior life. He left the throne name, he dressed in black cassocks, and returned to a life of private prayer. That is what you do when you resign. That is not what Benedict has done. I will leave the entire statement up here for both your and my complete, be able to refer back to it. I had noted, so this goes back to what I had noted at the beginning, a few episodes ago, that with my own eyes, with my own thinking mind, I've noted that Benedict continued to act in the capacity as a pope. The white, the papal blessing, the fisherman ring, the use of his throne name, the occasional pronouncement or book release. Anne notes the same thing. In fact, it's hard not to find someone who notes this sort of thing. 2 men acting as a pope, one true and one is not. Look at the massive error. There is no such thing as a Pope Emeritus. That is a novel invention. John Paul's suffering of Parkinson's would have been an opportune time to attempt to bifurcate the papacy. John Paul did not do this. And look at the massive errors resulting from this. The church has been shuttered throughout the entire world. It's never before been seen or done. There have been viruses, pandemics, plagues before. The cessation of the sacraments to the laity by the clerics, not by government, but by the clerics, is novel. And my friends, it looks like the work of an anti-pope. We will stop here and we're going to pick up again with the fear of Benedict. To the next time, Fides, Declaratio.